Someday I'll tell you the story. Francis was like, I was all about Francis in the beginning, and then I found out who Francis was. Francis isn't a good guy. He plays the good guy.
Yeah. I'm not basically out here campaigning to be a good guy, just being me. But it would be surprising that Dana is the only guy that I ever grabbed like that.
I've interviewed you about 6 times, and I would advocate that you are a good guy.
Well, it's relative.
And I told you about my altercation with Francis. I told you about that in the park.
Dallas, right?
Yeah, but I only bring that up because Francis didn't really do anything. I mean, he turned around and he raised his voice, but that was the same thing I was doing. I'm just not as frightening looking as Francis. Like, I don't think we can hold against Francis that he happens to be a really frightening looking person.
People need to understand that with Francis, if you want to call him a bad guy for putting his hands on Dana White, I can see that. And that's kind of where I drew the line. But if you want to call him a bad guy because he's hard to deal with in negotiations, that's different. I just, when I look at it, I think to myself, I go, he probably was difficult to deal with. And by being difficult to deal with, it could have been very difficult, almost like as if he was aggressive, that he was not a kind person.
When you're an athlete that's signed by the UFC, you get full access to the Performance Institute, and you can eat there for free. Everything's free, and do all this stuff. This guy was fucking living there, right? And he had just fought, and he comes up to my office, and he's in the hallway or whatever, hanging out, and I said, "Come on in, what's going on?" And he was pissed off that he didn't get a $50,000 bonus in his last fight, that he didn't get the bonus of the night. And I said, well, Francis, you didn't get it because this, that. And he's in my office and he's arguing with me. And I'm like, yeah, this guy got this guy got that, and this is why. So the conversation's over. I'm starting to leave, and he grabs me by my shirt.
Fuck.
And like pushes me back in my office. And I said, dude, get your fucking hands off me. I could see in this guy's face and in his eyes and in the way he's acting who this guy really fucking is, And, then my guy Hunter they were talking about something. It might even have been the same thing. And when Hunter started to walk away, Francis grabbed him by the fucking back of his collar and fucking pulled him back, said, we're not done talking yet.
Wow.
Everybody is a good guy and a bad guy depending on the person in front of him. Nobody can be unanimous. I understand that he's not happy about the way that things went out.
But I did see your breakdown of Francis and the physicality in the office, and you are correct to notice that has changed slightly. And that story had been around for years. I heard that story for years, that Francis made contact. Not that he did with Dana, but I knew that he did with Hunter.
To put your hands on the boss man, like, he's a heavyweight, he's a bad man, but this is your boss, right? So that takes some balls to do that. I would think that like Francis Ngannou would have been joking in a way. I don't know, but when I saw this come out and it's kind of been making the headlines, I wondered if Dana regretted telling this story. I mean, I'm just pondering about it, because it almost, when you read the headline, it almost comes off as Dana's like almost, I don't say a victim, but you know what I mean? Like Francis put his hands on me or something. And Dana's not that type of guy to like show any type of weakness, even though in this, when you listen to it, he's saying, I told him, get your fucking hands off of me. But it's interesting. It kind of shows where the bad blood started, right? Because these guys always had kind of a turbulent relationship.
You kind of look back on the timeline, because after he said this, someone tagged me in a clip from the post-fight press conference after UFC 218, where Francis Ngannou knocked out Alistair Overeem, one of the greatest knockouts in MMA history, and did not get a performance of the night bonus. That night, they gave out 2 fight of the nights, and I asked Dana at the post-fight press conference, like, usually when you've given out 2 fight of the night bonuses, you've like given out a performance of the night or something, you obviously didn't bonus Francis, are you gonna help him out here a little bit? And he was like, yeah, like we'll take care of him. The last thing I need is this guy coming and knocking on my door looking for a bonus. And so in hindsight, you hear that clip, you're like, oh shit, he was dropping a hint about something there. No one obviously picked up on it at the time, but to hear that back now, you're like, okay, like, you know, the two strings come together there on that one.
It's hard to believe to Dana White. It's hard to believe to you to go, get back in your office, Dana. You not what? Get out your checkbook. Give me 50K. And then, oh, Hunter, you leave it? Get back here, Hunter. We're not done talking. It's hard because that's the picture that we're really seeing in our head here. It's hard to believe that because listen, it's Dana White here. Dana, just like Francis has this aura, there's this aura around Francis to where you just know, okay, I can't fuck around here. I gotta be on my P's and Q's. He has that aura, but in just that sense, because Francis is a fighter and he has that scary aura, Dana White has a different aura as well because Dana White's the head of the UFC. Dana White's this guy. So everybody moving around Dana White, hey, you're gonna know, hey, I gotta conduct myself. I gotta conduct myself accordingly. So here, I find that a little hard to believe. Now, I'm not saying that's false.
For him to clear up the Dana White accusations of what went down in his office. Dana White says a moment happened and how terrible of a person Ngannou secretly is, and that he put his hands on him in his office, and there was this whole thing that we went over a couple of weeks ago. And Ngannou had his chance on this interview to just say, no, Dana White's a liar, like we all kind of assumed at the time, okay? You know what? I didn't think I'd ever say this, but maybe Dana White was right about Francis Ngannou. That's how bad his response was. Bear in mind, all he had to do was say, no, Dana White's a liar, if in fact Dana White was a liar.
No, Luke Ariel, to his credit, would come right back and put him on the spot and just say, look, did you put your hands on Dana? Although Francis did not give an answer, he basically said, don't they have cameras in the UFC office? And left it at that. Look, the court of public opinion is tough. Things go like this, you know. There was a time when we all felt like Francis, you know, was the guy from Shawshank crawling through the shit tunnel to get out of his draconian contract and get what he wanted, and we were all happy for him. Then PFL started to say he's not carrying his end of the bargain, and we were down on him. Then this interview happens, and we're like, maybe Francis really isn't a good guy. Maybe Ann Evans on Twitter is right here.
Let's just keep it a bean, you know? Like, Francis was definitely doing what he wanted to do in the UFC PI, right? And when you talk about somebody that, you
took your cornbread?
Huh?
He took your cornbread to PI?
Nah, he didn't take mine, man. I see that nigga take some nigga shit, though. But, you know, with that being said, you know, I think that, you know, Francis and his mindset, bro, he's just a king, you know? And he moved like that, right? Like, he embodied that, you know? But sometimes, even though you embody that, you know, that king mentality, you know, you got to realize who really in charge, you know.
Sure.
At the end of the day, right? And but they ain't the one that said it though. You know, he said, you know, Francis pulled up on him, you know, talking about, hey, I need my little 50.
First thing I'm going to say is, to the extent that that is true, how could you defend it? You can't. If what he is saying is true, you can't possibly defend it. You know, you just can't do it. And there is no defense of it, nor am I even going to try. What a waste of time this would be. You're not allowed to fucking put your hands on people. It's the same thing I said, you know, it's, I mean, well, it's a slightly different situation. Well, it's a pretty different situation, but you get the idea. There is no defense of it. If you're frustrated, if you feel like you've been wronged, you know, there are ways to handle that have nothing to do with grabbing people.
In this situation, bottom line is, I mean, I'm going to be more on Dana's side on this situation. Don't touch me. Doesn't matter who you, like, if a grown man puts his hands on me, we're fighting. I may lose. I don't care if it's Francis Ngannou, but we're fighting. Like, just don't touch me in any conversation. We can have a conversation. I love to talk, as you can tell. Okay. But I mean, like just don't touch me.
Let me tell you a story. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. And this guy has shown. So he's going in to fight Stipe Miocic in Boston. And he knows he's going to fucking kill Stipe, right? So after the press conference, we're walking down this hallway, and he comes over to me and he grabs me. And he says, let me tell you what's going to happen. His English is fucking great, okay? No language barrier whatsoever. When this fight's over, you're going to book me a private plane to Paris. And I said, I laughed and said, oh yeah? He goes, I'm not joking. You're going to book me a private plane to Paris. So, okay. So we go our own ways. Stipe Miocic beats the fucking shit out of him. Beats the shit out of him. So that ended that whole conversation.
And I've been around fighters that in AKA that have demanded, like, if I beat this guy, like, Dana's gonna do this and do that. And like, I'm gonna demand, I'm gonna walk into the office and tell him that this is what I want. How'd that work for you?
Yeah.
It didn't work. It didn't work. Like, like in history has shown, if you do him a solid and you come through on a fight, he'll generally try to get you back at some way, like in terms of good. He'll try to do something for you on the backside.
Like, I can't be upset with Francis for harming Francis. If I'm a Francis naysayer, which I largely am, Francis's decision hurt Francis. It didn't help him, so I don't have to understand it. But then to have a real professional like Anthony Joshua step in and go, hey, dum-dum, move aside. Let me show you what makes sense. And now he gets to go make the money and have all the fun. That part of it brought me an evil pleasure.
Yeah, I just thought, I mean, he's just an idiot. Like, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? If you're so confident, if you feel so disrespected, you're having all this bad publicity about your name over the past year and a half. This is an opportunity to correct that and stop me. I mean, he's basically also talking shit to Mike Tyson for fighting me. Saying, like, Francis, you're nowhere near the legend, and you never will be even close to the legend of Mike Tyson. You're saying it's disrespectful to get in the ring.
But, you know, I look at it and I truthfully believe the UFC, I mean, the UFC, yeah, they're glad they don't have the bullshit. They would love to have the fighter.
Yeah.
You know, they want a quality heavyweight. But if you're the PFL has done nothing wrong as far as this whole thing. The PFL is in a position where they've done him a solid more times than he's done for them. So, you know, the fact that he didn't show up doesn't look good.
But the bottom line is, like, these guys went so out on a limb for him. Like, they bet the entire company on him, dude. Like, PFL's paying him $20 million for 2 fights.
Do you think they've seen any of that money
back? They've seen nothing back.
Like, now you're not fighting PFL anyways. You're trying to get the Deontay Wilder fight. They did you a solid by giving you everything you wanted. It baffles me. And now what it is doing, though, too, it's validating everything that Dana had said. It was hard to deal with. They just wanted this, they wanted that, and like, we were willing to give them as much as we could, but without giving them control.
I didn't lose anything. I was done with Francis after the. He actually he owes me money because we had to watch that fight with him and the Black Beast. He should actually pay me back for that fight, and all of you. You guys asked me the question about the PFL, and I responded. Other than that, the only one who's praying for his demise is probably the PFL, because they signed a shitty contract with a guy that doesn't deliver any numbers and ticket sales or pay-per-views. So, and they got to keep paying this guy for however long, and good for him, and not good for them.
The PFL paid a very exorbitant amount of money. Now, I come to the conclusion that it's exorbitant. I felt like there should have been a gratitude, right? I have no standing in the matter, but if I'm to be fair with you guys, maybe it's jealousy.
You know, a lot of people are hoping that Francis Ngannou will come back to the UFC, or there will be some type of super fight. You hear stories like this. Yeah, and I see you shaking your head. Not happening, man. It's not happening.
And I assume you don't want to be in business with him ever again, but...
We won't be. We'll never be in business together. You can tell.
Yeah.
We don't like each other.